Good afternoon and welcome to Pan-African News. We are live on Facebook at Pan-African Television. We are also live on YouTube at Pan-African Television. We are coming to you from our studios in Abelemkpe, 48 Swanika Street here in Accra. My name is Justice Appiah. Now to our top stories for this afternoon. Residents of South Pond Express worry over abandoned medical facility in the area. Now, no mask directive. Kumasi residents respond to no mask directives. Also, on the reopening of universities, University of Education, Kumasi campus enact measures. Students are very happy about the development. In business, GRA beefs up customs staff at ports to clear backlog. And then on the international front, environmental groups in Malta file lawsuit against planning authority for failure to withdraw flawed Gemma development brief. Details of these stories, including sports and other stories, will come your way for the next 1 hour. We're going for a short break. We'll be right back. Residents of South Pond in the Infantiman district of the Central Region are exceedingly worried over the abandoned health facility in the town. Speaking to Pan-African News, they called for the issue to be looked at and addressed urgently.
Behind me is the Midwifery and Nursing College that was built under the administration of the National Democratic Congress, presided over by His Excellency, the former President, John Dramani Mahama. Now, upon losing power and obviously the new Patriotic Party assuming power, this project here have been abandoned for almost 3.5 years now. It's not in section. It's not been opened for its reason of construction to be put to use. And we are asking a question that what is stopping leadership from getting this project operationalized? What is the problem? What is the issue? The people are crying for a facility like this, a project like this, and it's been built. What is stopping government? What is stopping leadership from making sure that this project is being put to use or reaching its peak of its construction and all that? We'll be having an interaction with some constituents within this constituency. Yes, it's still evening, but we'll be having some conversations with them to find out what their take is about this abandoned project, obviously the Midwifery and Nursing College.
You fight you to know, but still no, there's no improvement up to now. You fight still improvement to Baramba. And the boy, I say, yes, I know. The next 2020 election will be John Dramani Mahama offer a conjoined more complete man. Because, for example, if a road like Skuma Road and so called Bayfield Criminals, them project is being only Infantiman West, no, be a bad day.
Big project plan.
I don't know about it. If you say, new president, at least you do. Why be a complete? Completed. I can just open that's all. On our some.
Aban with one
Papa Poppy. Yamonko, so far so good. You school in I go fee. Ada said our bayana, Bubina, Bubuna, Yesudina, or did to me, Jmayano. In my yet. I had Damadio or Osumi, 100%, or they bubu was I defending. You whom up a tree. That I've been feeling one team and other about the own country and see, I be man and Kaye. Ankasan Kasipi, you be man, see, or Pereka.
Min Kanikasi, my brothers in Wakani, President or President on Pedro Boboa or my Ghana. On your President or the because I know I'm a said the fitman no papa won alone hear that. Enti so Muhammad Tase Yantase Mama Nankasa wa pre wa feel why your damaji desi ho na saba na fi adwon pon na baba damaji a opeda youth in where then. Nti min kasakasi.
Residents of Kumasi in the Ashanti region have responded to President's directive of wearing nose masks compulsorily as means of curbing coronavirus in the country. The decision, which was announced recently, has since been greeted with mixed reactions.
As part of a mechanism to curb the COVID-19 viruses, the government has enumerated diverse schemes to help curb the spread. Many safety protocols to be strictly adhered, such as the use of alcohol-based sanitizers, frequent hand washing, and wearing of face masks, were also adopted. The latest protocol to be highly observed is the President's directive to enforce the wearing of face masks as a law that attracts penalties if flouted. Our correspondent breezed into town to find out whether people complied with the directive or not. It was observed that about 70% of the people were seen wearing the mask, while 30% did not have them on. Additionally, policemen on scene visibly on duty in town did not question people as to why they wore no mask. However, other institutions like banks and supermarkets are seen with the no mask, no entry notice. The question which remains unanswered is, do the people really care much about the President's address or disbelieve in the existence of the virus? Some people expressed their concern about the directive.
Wasi ya mga hupa ya ore sa yamba usunge yesa abwani ni mabwa wesi me afa ni kwani etimire mtu se ya de ni nwa kwa nkase enyi enti si edisu ma ya de ni firi kwa no mo mbabwa sense yeni su ana ya de ne bebe
ene se ya o mbabwa se de e ya ya de no enti ansai akoko be composer nose mask amudi aba eye ebetina abwa ama sempo obi wo bia okasabu ni nyan so a onya bi nti yebedenya amampanyini na health ministers ni as say omode sa anyese aba na efe yasere yenuanom so enni ama yaye kwa ekonomi mu eso betini abrase ama yenso yeni e ka ho bi ewo.
Say that this idea is very, very important. And once this disease has become a pandemic, I hope we all have to do our best so that we can all come over it. And compulsory nose masks, I think, is better than total lockdown.
Still in the Ashanti region, some final year university students are elated with the reopening of educational institutions by government. Some students of the University of Education Winneba Kumasi campus applauded the school authorities for instituting proficient measures to welcome students on campus.
The President in his address announced the reopening of schools to final year students in various universities across the country. The reopening came as a result of long close down of schools and other social gatherings as means of curbing the global pandemic. The move will help final year students of various universities to catch up their curriculum prior to sitting their final year exams. It will also help ease congestion and ensure conformity to safety protocols. At a tour to observe the situation at the first day of the reopening, our correspondent observed that the basic protocols to be observed have been instituted. Students who entered the campuses were made to ensure wearing of the masks at the security checkpoint. At vantage points of the campuses, there were washing cans in most places, whilst the wearing of nose masks notice were also placed at most places. Some students who spoke in an interview expressed their delight over easing the restrictions. They thanked government for putting effective mechanisms to ensure their safety and the school's authorities for implementing the policies.
Before I entered, I was asked to put on my nose mask. Then also they tested my temperature at the gates. And then the security also asked me to wash my hands before I came. So I think the school is following the various protocols that have been laid down by the Ministry of Health and the government. Yeah, to go by this protocol, then entering the campus, everyone will be safe.
I tested my temperature and I was okay. So I was asked to wash my hands. Yeah, after that I was allowed to enter the school.
Okay.
For the washing of hands, it's okay. And you also use your sanitizer.
When it comes to the safetiness, I think this school, University of Education, Kumasi campus, is doing it. Because when I was coming from IPT, at the gauge, not the main gauge, when I got there, my temperature was taken. So immediately I came inside campus, I saw that a lot of Veronica buckets were at 20 points. So you have to go there and wash your hands. When I went to faculty to the business account office, when I went there, immediately I got there, my temperature too was also taken at the entrance before I entered, providing some of those things, they are there. So I looked around the classroom and I realized that they pasted a paper that shows the classroom only 32 students are allowed to enter. But previously, we could have 2-3 classes combined, and that would be more than 100 students being in one classroom. But what they have put on the door, it shows that only 32 students are allowed.
The university's head of public relations, Michael Kofi Chum Amponsa, stressed on the institution's preparedness to receive the students. He again advised to exercise all protocols and measures of social distancing while staying on campus.
Most of the measures are basically on the environment, the academic issues, medical, and as far as their safety is also concerned. So in the first place, management suggested that every student should go through the protocols. The protocols are that as soon as we arrive on campus, we will take your temperature and then to determine whether your temperature falls within the required temperature. And those are above that, we have the medical team in place who will actually take over and then they do the necessary protocols to be followed. So every gate or every entry point, we have these thermometer guns that will take your temperature. Besides that, all the doors every morning are sanitized. All the handles, doors handles are sanitized. For the students, we have already issued a circular indicating how they should follow these protocols. So what we are saying is that there shouldn't be any gathering on campus, either religious, whatever. And then they should maintain the social distancing. Anytime they are engaged with each other, even if they are having a discussion, they should maintain the social distancing.
Now, away from that, let's do some politics. The National Democratic Congress, in its yesterday's edition of the weekly press conference held at Alisa Hotel, rated the governing New Patriotic Party 15% in its performance after assumption of power. The presser, which was led by the Member of Parliament for the North Tongo constituency, Samuel Okujeto-Ablakwa, said the New Patriotic Party has performed abysmally.
In the slides, we have said that there is a pack for everybody who is here today. Everybody will receive a pack of this presentation. So pardon me if I have had to rush through the slides because of time. Don't forget some of the interesting promises in the aviation sector. The Honorable Jogate announced sometime in November last year that Accra will soon have its first SkyTrain station in August 2020. So I want to take advantage of this platform to apply for the tickets. I want to be one of the first passengers on the SkyTrain. But what is interesting is that as this government talks big, you know, we've established how they talk big. What is interesting is that as they talk about SkyTrains, let's see what has been happening to the rail stations on the ground, the rail lines on the ground. Let's see what has been happening. So this is just a few days ago, ladies and gentlemen. A few days ago. And this is what the minister said. The minister minister said, Achimota Railway being washed away by flood water. It's an act of God. So it's become a floating government. The bridges they build are floating away. I mean, you are not delivering. You are not delivering. The little that you try to do for us, that one too, you can't even do quality work. Your bridges are floating away. Your rail lines are floating away. Ladies and gentlemen, the government itself must be floated away. And I told you how big they talk and how concerned I am for my young daughter. The promises don't end there. Honorable Atacha was in Parliament and he announced, all of us were shocked, we were taken aback. We almost fell off our chairs. He announced that Nima Mam will be the new Villaggio in Accra. We are still waiting. And this promise is not new. In their 2004 manifesto, they said that the Nima Mam Shaman will have high-rise buildings and they will become the new East Legons and all of that. I mean, they will say anything for power. Say anything. And once they come into power, they forget about it. Another major news there, Baumia hit $50 billion jackpot. And they were all over the place. $50 billion. It's not happening. The Honorable Kwame Abuja told them in Parliament that this $50 billion it's not, you are not being honest with us. It's a phantom promise. It's not going to happen.
Well, I've been joined in the studio by the Executive Secretary for Adams GH, a civil society organization that anchor proper democratic principles and show good governance to the good people of Ghana. We'll be engaging them to tell us their take on yesterday's presser by the National Democratic Congress and also the response given by the New Patriotic Party government. Sir, you're welcome to Pan-African News.
Thank you very much.
All right, tell us. Yesterday, the National Democratic Congress held a press conference. Of course, they sought to discredit things that were done by this government. They rated the government, or they scored the government's performance 14%. You're a civil society organization. You believe in good governance. You show the good people what a good governance is all about. What will be your take on the two press conferences held yesterday?
Okay. Thank you very much. As you mentioned our name, we are called Anchoring Democracy Advocacy Movement Ghana.
Okay.
And the short name is Adams GH.
Okay.
And fortunately, we were invited to the press briefing yesterday as a civil society group that anchors proper
we had
democratic.
two press briefings yesterday. Which of them? That of the NDC or that of the
NDC,
the New Patriotic Party? Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, of the NDC.
Okay.
And we received a letter from them that a civil society organization that always champion good governance and proper democratic principles. We were given the opportunity to listen. And upon following the press briefing and our research and what we have gathered so far, I will say that the 14% performance given to the New Patriotic Party, the NDC, they were very charitable to the government.
Why do you think that they were charitable in their assessment of government's performance? Because in their press briefing yesterday, addressed by the Information Minister, Kojo Ponkrumah, he said the National Democratic Congress engaged in a dishonest, assessment of their performance.
The reason why I'm saying they were very charitable is that it's like the MPP as a government has failed woefully. And now the NDC can champion and be crusading with the Green Book. That, wow, look at our Green Book. We used 4 years to produce this. And the NPP came 3.5 years. They are left with less than 6 months to end their 4-year term. And their performance is nowhere closer to ours. And if you look at what is even in the Green Book, Ghanaians deserve better than what is in the Green Book. But because of the failure of the New Patriotic Party, now the NDC is now championing. They are not champions of democracy or champions of infrastructure development in Ghana. because of the failure of the New Patriotic Party. And as a civil society group that anchors proper democratic principles, and we believe that Ghana deserves better than what is in the Green Book, we were thinking, even by now, the MPP should also come out with another yellow book or brown book, so that we can compare the brown book to the Green Book of the NDC, so that we will be able to assess them very well. But if you look at what is happening,
on what basis are you saying that government has failed in its promises given to the good people of Ghana? Because according to them, they've, of course, delivered about 78% of their promises.
The 78% is relative. And if we look at, let's pick something like sanitation. The president said before 1 year in office, Ghana should be the cleanest city in Africa.
Okay. And
as we speak, the president appointed a minister and deputies in charge of sanitation. This is very serious. It's a military on its own to make sure Ghana is the cleanest city in Africa. And as we speak, we are nowhere near the first 5 cleanest city in Africa. And this is a complete failure for using our country resources, creating a ministry that will make sure Ghana become the cleanest city. If you go to Circle and look at the Odona and all the cities in Ghana, you will testify that it's a failure on the side of sanitation that we have a minister and his deputies. Now let's put that one aside. Let's come to infrastructure on the health sector. Until the COVID-19 pandemic, before we saw government coming out in a hurry that we want to build 88 district hospitals.
Okay.
Look at the situation where we are. We are in an emergency situation where anybody who contract COVID-19 right now, we need a health center for treatment. Now that we are planning to go and build 88 district hospitals. And you see, if you look at the performance of the NPP, they vindicated the Green Book of the NDC and make Ghanaians now believe that NDC is the best. But we in the civil society group, Adam GH, we believe that NDC has done well with infrastructure, but Ghana deserve better than what they have done.
If you think that the NDC was charitable in its assessment of this government's, performance and all of that, Adam GH, what would be your assessment of this government's performance?
Our assessment on this government performance, if we look at the educational aspect, we will think they have done something there, but we are assessing from 120 ministers performance and what is there to show to Ghanaians. Our country resources that has gone to this government paying salaries of these 120 ministers and above, and their allowances and monuments and what of you, to what we are having as the 14% said by the NDC, or what Ghanaians we can see with our naked eyes, they are far below the 14%. And NDC is touting themselves they are the gurus of infrastructure development because of what they have done. Ghanaians saw these projects of NDC. It is one of fantastic projects. If you look at Circle Interchange, if you look at Kaswa Interchange, people at Circle right now expect that if NDC comes to power, what project next? People at Kaswa will be looking at the Kaswa Interchange. When NDC comes to power, what project next? So we expect the NDC to come out with very good manifesto to tell people this is our 4 years. So this Green Book is over. Now we are coming with another manifesto and project. People at Kaswa don't need the Kaswa Interchange again. If NDC come and stand at Kaswa and tell them that look at your your interchange, I've done it, so vote for me, I don't think Kaswa people will vote for NDC because they need something.
Our time is almost up. We need to be wrapping up. But briefly, the New Patriotic Party, in response to the National Democratic Congress's press briefing yesterday, they said that there were certain things the National Democratic Congress said that were factually incorrect, in that they did not promise, or the number of promises they give to Ghanaians were not up to 631, and rather it was 388, which was factually incorrect. According to them, they have delivered, and they insisted that they have delivered on about 78% of the promises they give to Ghanaians. Looking at the free senior high school policy, planting for food and jobs, they, other things they've done that they've mentioned and all of that. You think that still the NDC was charitable in its assessment of the New Patriotic Party?
Sure, they were very charitable.
But it did not tell us what your assessment is when it comes to this government. Adams GH.
Adam GH, we are now working on our own research on the performance of this government.
Okay.
That's why I told you, the number of ministers or the size of the government. You know, the size of your size of government should determine your performance. If I go to farm an acre of land, 2 people, and we go to farm an acre of land, and you tell me, look, I will need 4 people, but we make sure the way we weed that farm will be good, and it will be better than what the 2 people did. And you come, I cannot assess you based on the 2 people and the 4 people.
Okay.
So you have more tasks to perform per the size of your government, and that is the aspect we are going to look at as a civil society group.
I believe that as a civil society group, by now you've already assessed the National Democratic Congress's performance when they were in government. What was your assessment of their performance in government? Let's be wrapping up.
If I say the National Democratic Congress NDC performance during John Dramani Mahama per infrastructure, I will give them, let's say, 60%. And that is why they are now, if you look at our infrastructure deficit in Ghana, I'm an engineer myself.
Okay.
And if you look at the infrastructure deficit in Ghana and the need for accommodations and the need for offering accommodation and other projects, be it roads, hospitals, social amenities, and what of you, Ghana, we are far behind. We need more. So this government was, the NDC government was tackling, let's say, in a faster rate. And we were thinking that, fine, this, when NPP came with a lot of promises, they were coming to complete what Jawama left and even do more. But less than 6 months to election, now the NDC is jubilating. Why? Because this government has failed. They have not performed quarter of what they did. And it is something that Ghanaians are so disappointed in the New Patriotic Party, because
the implementation of free senior high school with the planting for food and
jobs, if you talk
of ports and of course the technology they've brought in the system with the area codes and all of that.
That is why
they've done a lot.
Yeah, that is why I'm telling you it's a big failure. If you look at this COVID-19 pandemic, what is the input of drones?
Okay.
As compared to infrastructure development, as compared to other, so you see, sometimes you look at things that the importance of what you are bringing, so that we can be able to assess you well.
All right, thank you so much for speaking to us.
Thank you very much for your
that was the Executive Secretary for Adam GH, and they are assessing yesterday's press briefings by both the National Democratic Congress and the New Patriotic Party. Away from that, exactly 44 years today, students drawn from numerous Sowetan schools demonstrated in Soweto against the introduction of Afrikaans, a medium of tuition in local schools. The unarmed and defenseless students were met with fierce police brutality, a situation which led to numerous fatalities.
The coalition is made up of a movement headed by Imam Hamoud Diko. On the fateful day, the students, who numbered more than 100,000, marched peacefully to protest the use of Afrikaans in school. They sang and waved placards as heavily armed police officers were hurriedly deployed to ensure there were no riots. The protest later turned violent as police opened fire and killed the students at will. Chaos and pandemonium ensued as the violence, which later escalated, became a symbol of resistance against white minority rule in South Africa. The incident was the second after the infamous Sharpeville massacre, March 21, 1960, where 69 people were killed.
We'll be crossing over to speak to Gregory Lifu Derry, Children Protection Manager at World Vision International. Good afternoon and welcome to Pan African News, sir.
Hello.
Good afternoon, sir. Can you hear me? Good afternoon.
Hello.
Hello, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, please, I can hear you.
All right, welcome to Pan African News. Straight ahead, what's the routine for today's celebration? I asked if you can give us the outline for today's celebration.
Okay.
Yeah.
Today, and at the same time, the 30th anniversary of the African Charter on the Rights of the Child. So, a planning committee led by the Department of Children and the Ministry of Gender put out an elaborate program which was factored into the Minister for Information's weekly press briefing on COVID-19. So the program outline, we had a welcome address by the Honorable Minister for Information, Honorable Kojo Opo Nkrumah.
Okay.
A brief on COVID-19. We had a statement from key speakers, particularly the Speaker of Parliament for the National Children's Parliament. We had a presentation on the team by a renowned lawyer, Madame Sila Menkat Premo. Then we also had a presentation from the police, okay, looking at prosecuting issues that involve children, the challenges. Then we had the minister's address, okay, followed by a statement by UNICEF and the NGO Coalition on the Rights of the Child on behalf of all NGOs in that sector. So briefly, that is the outline that was used today to climax the Day of the African Child in Ghana.
Since today marks the celebration of African Union Day of the Ghanaian child, or the right of African child, would you say governments or African governments are really protecting the rights of the African child?
Yeah, so some African governments who say are doing their best. What others are doing, this much to be desired. We have countries that still have child soldiers, children being used to perpetuate various atrocities against the community, to kill their parents, you know. You go to places like the Central African Republic, just mentioned. Okay. We also know that in some instances, even the countries in Africa that are doing well are not investing enough for the protection, survival, and development of children. Okay. Ghana, like many other African countries, is doing its best, but we are saying that the best is not enough. Government can do better. In this era of oil, Ghana having oil and all the resources that goes with it, we think that the government can invest a lot more. Because we have a lot of children who are on the street. We have many children who are in prisons and in cells, adult cells, that they are not supposed to be there. But for lack of adequate infrastructure to cater for these students, they are compelled to be sent to this kind of institution. Our civil registration system is not the best. And you find minors who in court, they are giving adult sentences because some way, somehow, some people have gone to fake a birth registration that indicates that this child is an adult. If we have a strong civil registration system, some of these things will be dealt with. And let me also say that the child protection system generally needs a whole overhaul by various governments, not only the government of Ghana, talking about South Africa, talk about Sudan, talk about Kenya, Tanzania, Nigeria, our neighbors, and all. Children are really suffering. Yes, a lot is being done, but much is yet to be desired.
Now let's look at countries that are not really performing when it comes to protecting the rights of children. What do you think might have accounted for that?
Can you come again? I didn't get it.
I'm saying that let's look at countries that are not really performing, or governments that are not really performing when it comes to the protection of children's rights and all of that. The question I would want to ask is, what do you think? Where do you think they've actually fallen short?
Yes, so let me say it's a leadership issue. For instance, if you take Ghana, our president is showing leadership, and for that matter, serving in various high committees, even being a co-chair. He talked about it. Everybody was mentioning is president, effectively President Nana Akufo-Addo. Okay? So in that leadership means that the infrastructure that is in place, the mechanisms that are in place must also work. Okay, but that is not enough. The leadership must be backed by the resources. So when you take other countries, one, there are countries that are very fragile. You take Niger, you take the Central African Republic. I'm just mentioning those that have conflict.
Very well.
Even take Burundi and others that have emerged from conflict. Take Sierra Leone, take Liberia, and other countries. You realize that a lot of children are actually suffering because the government is not providing enough protection for these children. To the extent that even government endorse the issues of children rights become a political issue. Some countries, SGM has become a political issue. If you want to win a political election, then you must promote SGM. It is not so.
All right. Okay.
Ghana, you cannot ride on SGM to win. Not ride on to win. Okay. Our issue, beyond the resources, also have to do with the mindset, changing the customs and usage practices. Okay, to enable people to see the light, to enable people to appreciate the positive attitudes that if they adopt, this is better development of their children.
All right, finally, before I let you go, how do we overcome some of these issues? I mean, issues of child rights or children's rights?
Yes, so to address the issue of child marriage, we may need to look at it from different angles. Some have to do with behavior change, and it has to be addressed as such. So these are the community level issues, where some community members think that they live in the community and this is what they do, so they are also just following with it. We need to educate them, we need to sensitize them, we need to let them see the reality of the suffering that children go through when they are giving out marriage. Okay, the consequences of death, health implications, and all those kind of things.
All right.
Then we also need to look at the national policy angle, where we have all the policies, we have all the laws, and yet enforcement weak. How many men have so far been convicted on marrying children? I'm yet to find one in Ghana.
Okay.
That in case I've traveled to its full length. No, it's difficult to come by. Yes, government have shown leadership by establishing the gender courts and the various family tribunals to handle some of these issues.
Okay.
This is the way to go, by investing in the systems and ensuring that the systems work, but with the necessary resources. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for speaking to us. We are so grateful for your time. We've been speaking to the manager of we've been speaking to the manager of the World Vision International in person of Lefu Derry. Away from that particular story, Malian President Ibrahim Boubacar Keita has extended his hand of friendship to opposition coalition of religious leaders, politicians and civil society that has challenged his power in the country, also facing jihadist attack.
For the Safeguard of Democracy, FSD, which brings together opposition parties, the main one which is the Front for Safeguard of Democracy, and Esport Mali Kura, a civil society movement led by filmmaker and former culture minister Sheikh Umar Sissoko, Earlier this month, tens of thousands of people rallied in Mali's capital, Bamako, demanding Keita's departure in a show of force from his recent energized opponent. The protest followed several demonstrations last month in the West African state over the outcome of recent parliamentary elections, which the president won, as well as over coronavirus restriction. The anti-Keita coalition, the Rally of the Patriotic Forces of Mali, organized the mass rally in Bamako against its leaders as Sheikh Omar Sissoko, a former culture minister, and Mahmoud Diko, prominent imam and politician.
Away from that, Morocco has begun shipment of 8 million masks and other medical supplies to help 15 African countries in their efforts to deal with the coronavirus outbreak as instructed directly by Moroccan King Mohammed VI. The aid also includes 900,000 visas, 600,000 hygiene caps, 660,000 medical coats, 30,000 liters of hydroalcoholic gel, 75,000 packs of chloroquine, and 15,000 packs of azithromycin, 2 drugs used for the treatment of COVID-19.
Aid will be shipped to Burkina Faso, Cameroon, Comoros, Congo, Eswatini, Guinea, Guinea-Bissau, Malawi, Mauritania, Niger, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Senegal, Tanzania, Chad, and Zambia, according to the statement by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The medical gears and products are made in Morocco in line with World Health Organization standards and are donated as a gesture of solidarity following an initiative launched by King Mohammed VI to promote joint African action to counter COVID-19 outbreak. The initiative aims, inter alia, to promoting the sharing of best practice in the fight against the coronavirus pandemic and bolstering cooperation to mitigate the health, economic, and social impact of pandemic. This announcement comes just days after Morocco showed its desire to host the African Center for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, which will be built in the future under the auspices of African Union. The kingdom has multiple diplomatic initiative and investment in recent years in Africa.
A logistical convoy of the United Nations peacekeeping mission traveling between the towns of Tessalit and Gao came under attack by unidentified armed men, killing the 2 soldiers, the UN mission in Mali said in a statement. The convoy had stopped when it was attacked near the village of Takint, northeast of Gao, the largest town in northern Mali.
The head of peacekeeping mission, Mohamed Salah Al-Nader, condemned the cowardly act aimed at paralyzing the mission's operations on the ground. In NUMSMA has some 13,000 troops drawn from several nations deployed across Mali. Mali is struggling to contain an Islamic insurgency that erupted in 2012 and which has claimed thousands of military and civilians' lives. Despite the presence of thousands of French and United Nations troops, the conflict has engulfed the center of the country and spread to neighboring Burkina Faso and Niger to the west.
Now let's do some health story. Raspberry are part of the berry family. They come in many forms, which includes black, purple, and golden, but the red raspberry is the most common. It is known for its various health benefits. The Health News Desk take a look at how beneficial red raspberries has on consumers.
Red raspberries are native to Europe and Northern Asia and cultivated in temperature areas worldwide. This sweet, tart berries have a short shelf life and are harvested only during the summer and fall. For these reasons, raspberries are best eaten shortly after purchasing. Raspberries are enjoyable all year long, whether they are fresh or frozen. These gorgeous gems are known for its delicious taste and versatility. They have an impressive nutritional profile that makes them one of the healthiest choices in the produce aisle. Raspberries are low in sugar. They are rich in anti-aging antioxidants. They can protect you from cancer. They are high in fiber. They may help prevent diabetes and also sharpen the brain and memory.
Of course, raspberries are very, very beneficial. They have a lot of health benefits. You can try that. Up next is business. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Now let's go and look at what is happening in the world of business. The Ghana Revenue Authority has directed its customs division at the port to resume normal operations as their shift system, which was put in place due to measures to check the spread of COVID-19, has been cancelled. The move is part of urgent steps being taken by the Ghana Revenue Authority to ensure that the backlog of uncleared goods at the port due to the challenges faced with the newly introduced integrated customs management system managed by the Unipass is handled quickly.
The Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders has lamented the inability of its members to carry out their operation at the port due to system challenges, leading to the lockup of goods. They fear that, as a result of no fault of theirs, they may have to pay demurrage and rent charge. The Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders at a press conference last week raised issues ranging from system inaccessibility, importer tax identification number, delivery time benchmark, manual processing, security, system calculator, call center, information management, training, and frontier challenges. The Commissioner General has therefore recalled all staffs to report to work with immediate effect and has been drafted into a morning and evening schedule. The morning shift will work till 5 p.m. and the evening shift will then take over and close the following morning. This is expected to continue until all the backlogs have been cleared. Also, the valuation and classification of goods from the frontiers or borders was considered at the meeting with the decision that, henceforth, the classifications will be performed by officers at the frontiers. A stakeholders meeting has been scheduled to ensure the Food and Drugs Authority, Ghana Standards Authority, Customs and others put across a pragmatic way to circumvent the ICOM's challenges but still keep revenues intact. The Ghana Revenue Authority is confident that, with ICOMs by the end of the year, clearing cargo from date of its discharge to its release at the seaports would take 48 hours, while a lesser time would be required for air and land frontier operations. ICOMS is a fully integrated port community, single and e-clearance system which currently has registered all shipping line/agents, terminal operators, container freight stations, licensed customs house agents, freight forwarders, bonded warehouses, free zones operators, and other port community players.
But that'll be all for business. Up next is international news.
Breakfast good day, every day.
Nestle, good food, good life.
This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Welcome back. Now let's do something.
Majama Palace Hotel in Masaskala. In the petition, the groups have stated that although the local plan defines the area which should be subject to the development brief, the PA chose to include further areas in the development brief exercise. It included a green area which should be accessible to the public and where no increase in height or volume is permitted, as well as a heritage site for which there is already a policy applicable. Moreover, an area of 100,000 square meters which should be developed within the site was arbitrarily laid down. The groups, including the graffiti movement, have accused that in view of the fact that the consultation exercise was not in line with the applicable laws and policies, the organizations had given 10 days to the authority to withdraw the flawed chairman development brief. Since the planning authority failed to do so, the organizations had no other option but to open a lawsuit against the PA. If the effective development brief proposed by the PA goes ahead, it would lead to a massive development project that negatively impacts the infrastructure of massive scala and the lives of residents with no long-term benefit to the locality, the groups added. According to reports, the site is being earmarked for the development of a 15-story hotel and apartment complex proposed by Porto Notos Limited in 2018.
Now, credit to People's Dispatch for the international stories. Maxwell William Chigwe is on standby with updates in sports. We'll be right back.